G'day guys and welcome back to the Venture Beyond podcast. This is episode 8 where we had the pleasure of talking to Justin from Yellow Express. Yellow Express is a point-to-point delivery service that specializes in bulky goods, and Justin's story of entrepreneurship is one you're going to learn a lot from in this pod. Well, we have the great pleasure of having Justin join us today. Justin and myself, James, and the team at Hustle have been working together now for some time. Feels a lot longer than it actually is,
and more expensive.
Oh god, the guy likes to whinge about money. Show us your watch.
Hang on.
Yeah, so he's not doing it tough, but he's an Aussie battler.
Yeah.
And he's had a really interesting story, one that we're excited to share with you, provided Justin is too.
Sure.
And we admire what he's done with Yellow Express. We're really excited by what we are doing together and where we're going. And in order for us to really talk that through and give you the insights that we've generated together, we probably need to hear from Justin to hear the origin story and how you've gotten to where you are today.
Sure. Justin Lewis. I am a big part of the Yellow Express team. I like to say that because it's companies more or less, without the what do I say? I really like to be inclusive when I say that because companies are just an ABN number and a glossy brochure, and sort of Yellow Express is a whole bunch of people all doing everything very well.
Yeah, it's a special company.
Yeah,
it's got a special culture.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
I see a lot of parallels between what I'm seeing at Yellow Express with what we see at our family's business at Perfection. I think the loyalty you have to your team, and your team has for you, the commitment, the attention to detail as well.
Yes.
The absolute care.
Yeah.
Sure. That you stand out absolutely in that.
And by the way, and that also, I think we're the only company that, I'm speaking for myself here, but from what I've seen in the industry in the last 20 years, I think we really do sincerely include our guys on the road.
Yeah.
And I think most, and I'm only speaking for myself here. I feel like I should preface everything I say with "in my opinion."
Yeah.
So I stay out of the shit. But everything seems to be going to the lowest bidder these days, and people on the road are looked at as commodities.
Yeah, but you've done a good job in differentiating yourself. So I guess we should tell the audience what Yellow Express is. It's point-to-point delivery for bulky goods.
Yeah, so we provide a man and a big van on demand.
Yeah. And
so rather than talk about the services that we do, we sell the product, and we also sell the man behind the van. In saying that, I'd love a woman to come and be one of our DSOs on the road. But and every time we get one through, I get so excited, and I do the interviews, and never ends up happening, and all that sort of stuff.
Well, there's the call out. If any woman listening,
yes,
Justin wants to hear from you.
Correct. Yeah.
But you have differentiated yourself quite successfully, and it aligns with where you want to go and the work that we're doing together. The phrase that you used when we first met was that you want to become the Uber of bulky goods, bulky delivery. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. The courier industry has gone through many phases. Right now, it's in a phase where we're basically all alone. And so what that means is that most delivery services. So when you go and order something online, it normally goes from a car to a truck to a warehouse to sometimes a plane back to a warehouse, goes through various sets of hands. And so we are definitely a point to point. Which is obviously very Uber-esque, and we were doing this stuff before Uber existed.
Yeah.
And so, and it's an interesting story how it came about. We were more of a traditional, say, courier company, and I hate to use the word courier because we're just not a courier.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're kind of a van rental that comes to you / one above that / one below, 2 men in a truck.
Yeah.
You know, so if you buy something on Facebook Marketplace, it's costs you $50, and it's a plastic table and chairs, and it's sitting in Parramatta, and you need to get it to Tamarama or Bondi. You know, of course, if someone's buying a $50 plastic table and chairs in Bondi. How do you get it there?
Yeah, and quickly.
And quickly and around the money, you know. So there's value, and so that's where we sit. And it's an interesting story how that came about. I remember back in our sort of more traditional ways. Of course, that's Vince. G'day, Vince. We're going to get tickets to what is it, Jimmy Carr? Yeah. Anyhow, I remember walking past one of the chaps in the call center, and I heard, sorry, sir, we don't do that. And I'm like, hey, what is it that we don't do? It's a pretty slow day.
Yeah. What
is it that we don't do? The guy, you need a table picked up from here to there. And you normally have to have an account with this and all that sort of stuff.
Right.
So I said, give me the phone. I got him the phone. I said, what do you need? And he said, X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. I said, done, we'll do it. How do I pay? And I went, give us your credit card. Didn't even have credit card facilities.
Yeah.
I forget how we got the money.
Yeah.
But we just did the job. And all of a sudden, we made enough profit out of one job than would have taken to do 10 jobs in the real world.
Mm-hmm.
If we went to one of those horrible tenders where you go to where there's 100 people, 100 companies under the same roof vying for the same business, fighting over the last 3 cents per kilometre.
100%.
And that always goes to the lowest bidder.
Yeah.
And then, the poor guy on the road behind the wheel, he cops the brunt.
He's the one
that
that
shitty
out.
deal done by that useless salesman, which I hate, of which I am one.
Well, apparently not useless.
Yeah,
cool.
Be here. Yeah, no, for sure. No, I agree. I'm a bit hard on myself like that, but I just hate that whole typical sales model.
So prior to that, you weren't really doing B2C. It was all B2B, contract based. Yeah.
And this was good. I made a quid. The operator made a quid. Mm-hmm. I call them operators. Don't call them drivers anymore because our guys are special.
Yeah.
They're smooth operators, like that song. And our guys go through a really intense, training platform before they get on board. And whereas you're looking at, I mean, I don't know how it is these days, but it used to be, mate, here's a shirt, here's a radio. Get out in the road and we'll figure it out later.
Yeah.
Real, race to the bottom stuff. But as it stands now, you look at my competitors and you look at me, we're the number 1 rated company.
Yeah. Why don't you think any other competitors have done it either?
Call me strange, but I prefer to make a buck than go for these market share businesses. And I just love a good deal. A good deal is when everyone wins. When the company wins, the employees win, the guys on the road win. I had a young kid that started with me 3 weeks ago, 18 years old. I don't even want to say how much money this kid made because it'll give everyone the shits.
No, I think you should.
I can't.
You're not saying a name.
Yeah, I know, but everyone. It's just like.
Range.
But I just.
Rough.
He blew our record out of the water, and our record was $3,600.
That's awesome.
Monstered it.
Yeah.
Just a good, hardworking kid. And by the way, on that subject, I mean, it's just these things which I think are the enemy of the world. There's always something that's going viral. The latest generation, what are they? What are they called?
Gen Z.
Gen Z, are they?
Yeah.
My boy, he's 14.
Is he Gen Z? I think he might be Gen X. Is that the one after that?
No, Gen X is me. Generation.
I'm not sure.
Anyhow, the latest generation is allegedly the most useless, okay? Because there wasn't a war for them to get shipped off to conscription, and my grandfather, went to World War One, and
interest rates were 18%.
Exactly. And our kids are busy getting their hair dyed pink. It's just that, but there's just Yellow Express has got so many great examples of just people coming through, great operators. We teach them our very unique business. They jump on board. They're my sales reps.
Yeah.
You know, they're driving around billboards. They're making a buck.
Yeah.
I'm making a buck. And it's just a great little business. And we're busy at the moment working with you guys to help me scale the business after my tragedy that was the US venture.
Before we go there, I mean, I just jump in and say that your business is unique, and the way that we met was unique. I mean, you walk into the HQ at Yellow Express, and it has a certain aura about it. It's a massive workshop with vans and
it's a man cave with a business attached to it.
The offices are the least impressive part. The front is literally a man cave.
Yeah, it's funny.
And then the way that we met, you called out through this window. I think I was standing up here on the balcony.
Yep, we were making lunch.
Yeah.
And I think, what'd you say? It was something like websites, apps, and ventures. Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You're like, I get it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So.
You know, my life is a billion of those stories sticky taped together. And, you know, and it would have happened. I'm kind of a slightly, I've been compared to a slightly less retarded Forrest Gump. So Forrest goes through life and he ends up starting a prawn business. And anyhow, so the does all right too.
Yeah, so this is your Bubba Gump.
Yeah. Bubba Gump. Anyhow, it would have, honestly, I can't remember, but it kind of would have been, we need help doing X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. And I'm like, well, who does that stuff? And, you know, someone that does this. And it would have been Lisa that said it to me. And Lisa, I love you, Lisa. She's been with me 27 years.
Yeah.
I'm her first job. The first job is amazing.
That is amazing. And you got a bunch of people at Yellow Express who've worked there forever.
Will's been there for 36 years. John, who had a stroke last year, he's been there. You
shouldn't smile about
years.
that. It's like, oh God, what did we just reveal about your personality?
No, I love everyone that works there, mate. We've just got the weirdest little crew.
And it does sound like you've had a very unique life. Every time we talk, you're just like, oh yeah, by the way, I was like I was in the Backstreet Boys or some shit like that. I was on Home Away.
You got to talk us through that.
Yeah, sure, man. How long you got?
Give us your top three stories.
Oh, hang on a second. Let me finish off the other one. So I'm walking along, and next thing you know, like anything, it's just like, I've got this weird person that lives in my head, and don't worry. And it's kind of, I don't know. I just go through life, and I get involved in things, and always with great intentions, and you know. And, you know, I'm my father's son. My dad's a great bloke, just like your dad's a great bloke. Watched your podcast that beamed out live to your 50 followers.
Just like this one, Mill.
I'm here to bump it up.
You don't mind the jabs. It doesn't hurt.
I want 100. Yeah, so anyhow. But look, I just remember going past, and there was a conversation, and I looked up and I went, it was like, oh, look, the sun coming through the clouds. I thought, yeah, that'll do. And they're behind there. And the thing I liked about when I saw the sign out the front, I literally saw you because I saw a sign. This place was for sale forever.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, sold. Oh, okay, someone's bought it.
Yeah.
They offered it to me. I thought, no.
It wasn't good enough
too much money. You could have said this place was $100,000. I went, you're dreaming. And someone bought it. Next thing you know, the sign went up. I went, yeah, that'll do. And I like that you're behind HQ.
Yeah.
Because I like this. It's got to, people aren't doing enough of this anymore. It's
totally agree.
Infra, you got to be physical. Yeah.
I'm sick of Google Meets, honestly.
Oh, that's terrible. Yeah, so, and I love that you sort of did all the things listed on and I just love that. Because how else do you find people? Do you Google them?
Yeah,
you know,
some people do.
You Google them and someone else makes money.
Google does.
Yeah, I like that. That the sign guy made his money.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's pretty old
school. The sign guy's probably local.
Well, he's a friend of a friend, yeah.
There you go. Keep the money in the family. I'm that guy, you know. Yeah.
It's not the way people normally find us, but it's definitely been a great way for us to, this office being here, being in this local community has been really nice.
Yeah.
Like, walking around here, it feels like we're part of the furniture now. I want to get back to this to this voice in your head that keeps whispering to you.
Oh yeah, that one. Yeah. Look, I've Yellow Express is definitely a reflection of my personality, and I think any good business it's a reflection of people's personality. I mean, I was talking to a good friend of mine yesterday who was a big part of a very famous Australian company, and he went and met with Mark Zuckerberg,
Right.
And even you're talking 5 years ago. I don't know what Mark's doing these days, but Mark,
Something in the metaverse.
Mark.
First
Mark.
name,
Yeah, Wahlberg or Zuckerberg.
both would be epic.
Yeah. So, and he's runs his business, and his business is a reflection of him.
He'd like to be uploaded to the metaverse, so that no surprise.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Not interested.
No, I'm not living in VR. I'm just not going to do it.
I think with this podcast, for me, the stories that have hit the hardest is like Dad's, and then Simon's, which is coming through this week. Today maybe it's being posted, and it's all about entrepreneurial stories. And I think like you seem to be a natural born entrepreneur, and Yellow Express is the main company that you've worked on your whole life. Can you try and give us a little bit of a start from the beginning, how you ended up in it's almost 100-year-old company, how you ended up in Yellow Express. Let's just start there.
Yeah, sure. So Yellow Express has been in my family for forever, since I can remember. And what it was back in when it originally started to what it was when my dad, bought it, and then what it was is now is kind of very different. However, but there's something about that little Yellow Express tag that sort of remained a constant throughout the years, and that is, I'm going to sound a little bit mushy here, but there's a lot of. Again, I said before, on my dad's son, and my dad's a good bloke, just a good bloke, and he's very pro worker. At some stage we were a very working class family. And I think it's important to also know that, any business that has, workers that especially work physically in the business, and I'm differentiating that to people that sit behind a desk who equally contribute. But, physical work, physical labour, I think has got, there's isn't the value that should be put on physical labour.
Yep. Agree.
So where the business is today is and I kind of I probably
but you skirted over a fact there, which is your dad bought the Yellow Express company. Is that how it?
Ask him that question. I've actually got it on video because I sat him down one day and I like to have these things captured and all that sort of stuff, and it's a really interesting story. I'm not completely sure on the technicalities of it, but it basically went broke and then sat on a shelf, and Dad got his hands on it and then bought it off a company that had it, and he paid £1,000 for the name. £1,000. There you go. Eh?
And Yellow Express previously, before it went bankrupt, was like a transportation company still.
Yeah, heavy haulage, but they had also they had big vans and stuff, and and then one of the vans I actually managed to get my hands on, and I did a big restoration on it, and that's sitting up in the showroom. Everyone's welcome to come and check it out. Sit in the lawn of May. I named it after Mum.
Oh, that's nice.
Come through Roselle, visit Yellow Express, then come visit Hustle.
Yeah, true.
You'll probably see us up there at Yellow Express anyway.
Probably.
The business tour of Roselle.
Yeah, for sure.
2 key businesses to see.
And I got my hands in the company a bit over 20 years ago.
What was the catalyst for that? Why did you get into the company?
Dad wanted to retire. I got 2 brothers. They weren't interested really in doing that, and I didn't want some rando to end up with the company, and because I've grown up with it, and I was doing various things. Yeah, I was in the mobile phone game and buying and selling cars and all that sort of stuff.
Born salesman.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But yeah,
You,
sure.
you definitely are.
Am
Come
I?
on, you are.
Really?
Yeah, I feel like you really don't want to sell in this podcast, so
Yeah, I
please sell. I want to buy something at the end of this.
Okay, fair enough. Done.
Let's
Done.
make it
All
like
right.
like TVSN or something like that.
All right, let's get the show on the road.
What's this?
They're funny. I watched one of those TVSN commercials the other day, and the guy's sitting there, and he's allegedly talking freestyle to this guy, but you can so tell that just off center, he's reading a script.
100%, yeah.
And then I said this.
So pretty much your dad bought the company Yellow Express.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting story. I don't know it. I can't recall it exactly, but yeah, things like the fax machine. People used to send goods through taxis, and then the taxis were also one-off, pickup point to A to B.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then couriers, the word or term couriers was different because a courier could go and put multiple parcels on, go in the general direction, and then drop multiple parcels off, which would make it slightly more efficient if you wanted to wait a little bit longer to get your parcel. So then the courier industry bloomed, and then things like, and here's a weird thing, it's like all of a sudden a fax machine was invented. And then all of a sudden, we don't need to send that document to the courier. So that would affect the courier industry, right? And then, things like you could get documents signed on a PDF and you could email a PDF, and therefore the printing industry goes out of business.
Yeah.
You don't have to create paper anymore. We had many businesses that, were in Yellow Express's repertoire that were... integral to our survival, and all of a sudden we started losing them. That's why I started thinking of different ways to get business.
Yeah.
Which is hence where we are now. It's all evolution.
Yeah, and being disrupted and looking at that as an opportunity rather than, I guess, both a threat but also an opportunity. And I love the fact that you get in the call center, grab the phone off someone. We can actually do that.
Yeah,
and then that starts the whole thing.
Let's say yes.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. So everybody out there that's wanting for the gold nugget from the entrepreneur, which I hate. I'm not an entrepreneur.
Believe in yourself.
Because I don't want to be in that. There's guys that I knew this.
Just don't put it on your profile. That's all.
Comedian. But there's. I hate it when people want to be called entrepreneurs. They dodgy up their what they're worth, so they can send it to the BRW, so they can get on the top 30 list, and you find out 2 years later they're crooks.
Yep, they're out there.
And just so they can get a few more likes.
Yeah.
I don't want to be. I don't consider myself. I just consider myself a bloke that goes to work and loves the people that he works with, internally and externally. And I try and connect with as much of the guys on the road and all that sort of stuff. And because I know how tough it is, because I used to do it.
Yeah.
And how rewarding it is. I love driving for my company. It's fun.
What was the football team you were driving? It was. You picked up.
Oh, that's right. We did a job recently for the Spanish women's soccer team. I don't know how I ended up with that job.
Sounds terrible.
Yeah.
I feel like Lisa gets a good job and she just calls you and it's like, all right, I got one for you.
Yeah, we got like a bat phone. Yeah. Every time a job like that comes through.
There was a lesson I was told. I don't know whether it's completely right, but when I was younger, just getting into business, that in a small business you want the owner to always be able to get in the kitchen.
Sure.
So in this business, I always felt like I needed to know enough about everything, and obviously in software is my core skill, but then everything else in the marketing space is all the stuff I had to learn, all the stuff I had to add to my my capability in order to be able to direct the team and actually know when somebody comes to me with something, whether it's sound and it makes sense, is going to deliver value. So by the same token, I think that's what you're doing. You're able to walk in their shoes, understand what they're going through.
You have to.
And therefore be able to train them properly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. So look, and the scaling part of the business is I do have a scalable product. And, I sort of, there was a stage where I thought, okay, I'm ready to scale.
This was US, yeah?
The US. And so, especially too, when you get it, like, I've had some of the biggest names in transport and logistics literally knock me off verbatim of the things that I come up with, the strap lines and the send, move, delivers and all that sort of
Just
stuff.
grab it and
Just steal it.
yeah.
The biggest names. Bezos being one of them. He knocked off in my opinion.
What did he knock you off for?
Okay, so years ago, I thought to myself, I've got to differentiate myself. I don't want to have couriers on the road, because a courier, the problem is with the word courier, it's connected to an image of a guy that's driving down the road too fast and smoke's blowing out of the back of his vehicle, and his vehicle has been washed for 8 months, and the guy's cranky and he turns up and and I want to circle back to couriers and people that work in transport, because that's what all this is about. So, but
We'll
make sure I don't forget this, because I want to, because all the couriers now in Australia are probably angry, going, what? You know what I mean? But I love
That's
you guys.
the hook.
Yeah. But, and so I wanted to create something that was a person that was just so happened to be in a van. That's a really good guy and is an operator. So we come up with the acronym, and I love acronyms. Come up with the acronym DSO.
Yep.
A Yellow Express DSO, Delivery Services Operator. Delivery meaning delivering whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
Okay, services. Great word, service. Operator. An operator can operate. You're an operator, I'm an operator, you're an operator. Phoenix is an operator.
Yep.
And operators
They
operate.
just do.
Yeah, surgeons operate.
Yeah.
So we do things with precision, all that sort of stuff. So we came with that. And when I went to the US and we started spruiking the product, it was in 2017. Within a couple of months, Amazon came out with the DSP, Delivery Services Partner. And I looked at the GUF, which is now offline.
Yeah.
It was almost knocked off verbatim.
Wow.
And, that was a bit cool. But, and that apparently that sort of shut its pants. But another acronym is great, send, move, deliver, SMD.
Yeah.
What's that acronym? But I didn't realise, because I went and put a number plate 01
Wait, hang on. So
SMD on my car, and everyone's driving past.
you getting beeps?
Yeah. So
Shit. That's great.
back to couriers, though. I mean, and I'll segue into these cool hats that we're wearing, which are going to be collector's items because of various reasons. Yeah, exactly. I know. That's the biggest transport company in Australia.
Yeah.
I'm Send, Move, Deliver.
Move, send,
They
deliver.
decided to come up with Move, Send, Deliver. Congratulations, guys.
Well done.
Fantastic.
God, they're creative.
And then I've trademarked the term "work for yourself, not by yourself." And then someone and another giant company come up with a recruitment thing and the guy. It's whatever. Anyhow, it's good to know I'm
Regardless,
I'm
I mean,
setting
you're
the
on.
trends.
You're onto something.
Yeah, exactly. So
So courier, it seemed to me, based on your description, you feel like it puts the service in a kind of lowest common denominator bucket, right?
and I know it shouldn't be, because couriers, the courier, your typical courier that wakes up extremely early, puts his own fuel in his car most of the time, in his van most of the time, doesn't even get to kiss his kids goodbye in the morning, gets out and to the pick-up delivery point and puts 80 parcels in his van and is on the road by sort of 7 a.m. and has to do his quota on that day. Otherwise, there's issues for him, and has to deal with, ungrateful people, in the form of customers. A customer will not call you 99% of the time and say, "Hey mate, thanks for delivering that on time." They're only going to call you like the 1% of the time when you got it late or whatever.
Yeah.
And then people love getting on their keyboard and go, I did this and this happened and all that sort of stuff. And there's ways around that too, by the way. But but let's really think about couriers and people that drive in the industry, even for big tech and all that sort of stuff. They are the most underappreciated workers, in my opinion, in the country. Now, they deliver happiness, right? Everyone's on their phones ordering things all across the world and this and that and all that sort of stuff. And the little endorphin rush you get when the courier turns up and you see it's coming today and all that sort of thing. And then that person appears in your life and delivers this happiness. I mean, that person does not get enough credit and is too busy to, because he's got to get on to the next delivery to worry about issues that may have.
But that's the framework he's been given, right? Like he's been told that he has to meet a quota, and
But that framework starts at a point where it starts at, a gigantic company has a team of accountants and analysts and
spreadsheets
and lawyers and bullshit and 100% of the time, that business is going to go to the lowest bidder. And I can tell you right now, when that happens, the last person they're thinking about is the poor guy on the road,
actually doing the work.
That last mile, doing that last one, dealing with all the bullshit. And because my dad's always been big on, my dad was a mad lefty. He used to get down at the Domain, jump on the soapbox.
From a Labor perspective, it sounds like, right? Like he lefty from a, cared about the Labor.
I think left and right, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, when my dad was, getting around and starting on his career and all that sort of stuff.
Probably very different.
I think left and right were completely different. Right now, like with my son, I don't teach him how to think. I don't teach him what to think. I teach him how to think.
Yeah.
So I think, that's important. But look, back to the good old courier. Yeah. I just think the courier, the transport worker, the person that behind the wheel, whether it's behind a big truck or behind, picking somebody up, some annoyed
in an Uber
customer in an Uber and all that sort of stuff, or in a ride share, they're the most underappreciated people, probably. Lowest paid if they're not working at Yellow Express. It's true. So I'm telling you, I see some horror stories about people working for these big companies that we all celebrate.
Like Uber in particular, right? Like because they're at an arm's length with all of their drivers.
I had the most annoying experience the other day with a bike that I rented, and I couldn't park it anywhere, and the teal was, and I tried to contact them, nothing, no
one cares.
Can't get onto any actual human to resolve the issue.
And the annoying thing is that, okay, sure, they went and what Uber did was when they came to Australia, because that's all I can speak for, they used the hire car industry to get a foot in the door so everyone could have a really convenient way to book a hire car and pay the same price as they would a taxi.
Yep.
Once the hire cars got them a foot in the door, they said goodbye to the hire cars. So the hire cars had their time to shine for a year or two or whatever.
Yep.
And then it went back to everyone that just had a car that, drove down the street long enough.
Uber, but they're clever marketers though.
Sure,
right?
Okay, but what it did was, yes, we all hated taxis and still hate taxis, right? Because back in the cash economy, you have to shuffle through, or at the end you pay for it.
Yeah.
And we're all in too much of a hurry to spend an extra 30 seconds to pay the cabbie.
Of course.
But what you've got is you've got tens of thousands of cabbie licenses and cabbies that are unsophisticated companies and individuals that pay tax.
Yeah.
So what happens when all of those taxi drivers and people that own taxi plates no longer exist?
Yeah. Ruins their lives too.
There's less tax being paid because the sophisticated companies like rideshare companies, send their money offshore, and then there's less tax coming into it. So what's the real, And
I'm pretty sure that the Australian government fixed that though. That was a big problem about 4 years ago. Facebook was the same, yeah.
Yeah, who knows? I don't know.
But no. But the thing I always hear is that, that look. Uber did a really good job of, at least in Australia, of the marketing, and they went after scale right away. But in stark contrast to what you're doing, you've got business acumen, you've got a proven service, and now you're looking to scale, and that to me makes a hell of a lot more sense.
Yeah, sure.
Because Uber's been pre-profit forever, right? And they're only just starting to actually generate profit, so it's a completely different paradigm. And I think coming from the history that you've and the company that you've built, it's only going to lead to a more successful outcome for everybody, because you've got that paradigm in place.
Yeah, true. I mean, look, for sure, we know we're onto something, okay, because, you guys are pretty switched on kids from a switched on family. And, I didn't do too much other than just say, hey, this is what I'm doing, this is what I've done, this is where I want to go. And you guys are like, hell yeah. And
I can see that.
so, but I just want to make sure in particular, because my experience in the US was horrific in the sense of I didn't mind that I got my ass handed to me because I learnt what not to do when I go back there, and I did it on my coin and not someone else's. And I'd be horrified if I borrowed money off someone or got an investor to go and do that. And I've never had an investor. I've never had a partner with anything I've done. And so, so when I go back there, I just want to make sure that it doesn't get, how do I say this? I've literally went to the US with a credit card and started a business and just and did what I thought was right. I thought I made the mistake of thinking I could just pick up what I got here and take it over there because they're Americans and we're the same because we've been to every war with each other since World War II. So I thought obviously we're going to be the same. Yeah. And I just couldn't have been further from the truth. I mean, we started in Miami. I mean, the only good thing about hey everyone from Miami.
We'll take that offline.
No, don't take it offline. Look, Miami is just another planet.
Yeah.
Again, in the planet that is the US. The good thing about Miami, it's close to the United States. It's just not the United States.
Yeah, they don't want to claim it, do
I
they?
could do another 4 podcasts on the stories out of Miami.
Yeah.
But
I remember you telling me that there was one. Sorry.
Yeah, but American life is so stressful.
Yeah.
It's just, you can feel it in the air as soon as you get off the plane. Everything there like that, and then you start to drill down. I was not politically engaged at all. I've never voted in this country up until that point.
Okay.
I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Send me the bill, right? But I was not politically engaged. But when you get there and everything's politics is a sport there.
Yeah, it is.
And so you start to look at how Americans live, how they think, the stresses, the day in day out stresses, the obvious ones, healthcare.
Yeah.
So, and I interviewed hundreds of really good people. I mean, America's a human test. The
talent pool is large, and generally speaking, right, that from what I understand, the baseline is quite high.
Yeah, but that's up there. But when you're talking about a country you've got 80% of people living paycheck to paycheck, how stressful would that be?
Yeah.
And if you get sick, you're either going to die or go bankrupt. That's insane.
Wild. Yeah.
Like, that's mental.
So
I want to make sure that if and when we get back to the US, and I'm very sure this business is going to be very successful and it's going to scale great. It's going to offer a service to consumers that doesn't exist and does, but not in the perfect way that Yellow Express exists. And as long as we download what's up there, and you guys are doing a great job in translating that, and that's the big tough thing for me, to get people that can stand me long enough to, what I want, my big vision for the US is, and everyone that wants to go to the US and scale, they all think about, when we buy our G650 and all this bullshit. I just want to do some van work over there for some nice American people and do some freebies and all that sort of stuff. But what I really want to happen in the US, I want us, and we're part tech company now, okay, definitely. I want us to be an example for how other tech companies should treat their workers and how they should spread the love way more than what they do. Man, it's happening in this country. I got some fries delivered to my house at 2:30 in the morning. Right, and I just did it to see if it would happen. I was up, I had jet lag, I took a screenshot of it, and my $6 fries got delivered for, I think there was free delivery because it was McDonald's. $6, 2:30 in the morning, and the other day I was jet lagged again, and I went through a walk through and there's all these people that are just awake on electric bikes waiting for some
that sucks.
prick like me to order fries.
And what do they get out of that delivery?
Who knows how much could they possibly get?
No, it'd be no more than a couple of bucks.
But that's happening in this country. So what I want, I know what I'm building here. I want it to almost be like, and And I think Australians invented penicillin and we gifted it to the world.
Yeah.
Right? How good are we? Right? And I think that's the case. I'm not dead sure.
I'm pretty
Let's
sure
get-
you're. I'm
yeah.
pretty sure you're right.
Yeah. And so, but obviously, if an American drug company invented penicillin, you know, they'd be putting $8,000 a shot, on it, and making sure that and it'd just end up in the web. And even then, I mean, you talk about American culture and doing business there. I remember very quickly on the scene when we started to get traction when we opened up in Denver. Very quick in the scene, all of a sudden, lobbyists started to get introduced.
Right.
And we're like, mate,
Come on.
there's a van, there's a dude. Dude gets in the van, goes and picks something up, drops off. What do I need a fucking lobbyist to get involved in that shit?
Yeah.
But there's a culture of let's get everyone on board and we get the stitch up perfect in line, and so we make sure when the politicians voted in, and then you get the license and then this, and it's like no one else can do it, and it's a
that's deeply ingrained in their culture, their corporate culture.
Yeah, but that's not cool.
No, I don't. I
Not cool,
totally
man.
agree with that.
Very un-Australian.
100%.
Absolutely. So there's and the thing is, I think with Australians, we are Americans, and I'm, by the way, I'm speaking like this not because I read something or I saw a YouTube video. It's because I lived it. Right? I was over there, saw it. I was in tears sometimes listening to guys like listening to their stories about how many kids they got, how much money they're making, how they live paycheck to paycheck, and how the numbers for Yellow Express would work for all that sort of stuff. And we could charge a premium, and everyone could win.
And you knew it would work because it works here.
100%.
And
it did started to work there, but there was many things I was getting wrong that I'm now getting right and have gotten right ever since. But I kind of lost track here a bit. But look, I love the idea of Yellow Express being that example and being that sort of like, why on earth? I don't understand why big tech companies don't exist. I don't understand why. I don't understand why the Transport Workers Union, and I'm a fan of the Transport Workers Union. I'm a fan of anyone that's all about workers' rights and amalgamating power and standing in solidarity to get a better deal. I'm all for that, no problems at all. And I don't understand why these other places like this, you can tell I'm shitting myself because I've just said Transport Workers Union. Hey guys, I'm a massive fan. Come and see me. I think I've even sent a few messages.
well, we won't put that shit like.
No, I don't care. I don't care. No, it doesn't matter. Look, it doesn't. Look. I don't understand why. What unions tend to do is they tend to, set out with good intentions.
Yeah.
They've obviously got a history as to why they exist, and they set out with good intentions. And but rather than go and spend money on arguments and lawyers to go and take this company to task and take this company and lobby governments and all that sort of stuff to fight for 3 cents or 10 cents a kilometre or a little pay rise here.
Yeah.
Why not just be the tech company? Spend your money on that.
Yeah.
Come and talk to me. I'll tell you how to blow your money on tech. We'll have a meeting here. But, see, the American experience was horrific. And it's like, and that's what I was getting to. Australians, no one else has the ability to talk to an American and say, hey, mate, your breath stinks, but here's a Tic Tac. And so
Except for an Aussie,
Australians have that ability to be able to do that.
Right.
Because they get that star-spangled bullshit rammed down their throat every day it's just, and so we're a very lucky country, and anyone that's either has come to this country or is born in this country, like all of us, right?
Yeah.
You go and live, and see. Yes, sure. The pool is great, but there's a hell of a lot of working class people there. That it's just a stressful environment, and as Australians and as an Australian businessman that has a product that I think can be a global product, because I've seen it, right? I just think that I love the idea of us being that the tap on the shoulder and say, mate, this is how you need to be doing it.
Yeah.
There's a quid in it for everyone.
Yeah.
Not all this revenue doesn't need to be funneled into some sophisticated financial, tube that goes and benefits a few people.
Mm-hmm.
Why isn't the
It's always been a question mark. How can Uber not have turned a profit for so long when they're taking that much off the table away from the driver? And what is it about that paradigm that they can't turn a profit on? It doesn't make sense to me.
I agree.
Because they're already taking so much.
Not
Like
the driver. I'm saying the platform. Yeah.
Not as
I'm
if they're
agreeing.
employing a call center.
Well, exactly. You
like
can't
me.
call them. Yeah.
So where's the money going? That's it.
It's a mystery, honestly.
crazy, isn't it?
But apparently, the whole thing there is just on a side note. The reason that the investors continue to give them billions of dollars is because they're waiting for autonomous cars, and at that point, they can get rid of the driver, and that's when it'll be super profitable.
Okay, but look, let's think about that. Okay, Uber and rideshare companies, and they are not here. They might be second and third jobs, or they might be first jobs here for uni students or whatever, right? But in America, they're first jobs and second jobs. And so what happens when people are doing that for no money? What happens when all of a sudden the robots have taken over? And
There's trouble.
yeah,
Real trouble.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're assisting in that process. So all of a sudden I start thinking of my favourite movie, Terminator, how the machines take over.
Yeah.
And, I'm your modern day John Connor. You guys don't even know what that means.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not a Terminator guy. I was like, damn,
Unbelievable.
why did he have to...
You know what it means?
All right. Get that man a mic.
Shocking. I'm in shock. I can't believe I'm old.
It's an inspiring story, and I mean that's why we love working with you. I think you got, like you've said already, your product is like one that doesn't exist in the market, and the quality is really high. Like we see the number of great reviews that come through regularly for Yellow Express because you deliver on an amazing service, and the redefinition of the market and the way in which wealth is distributed through to the drivers is really, really inspiring story as well, and a great prospect that hopefully we get to bring to Melbourne, and we get to bring to Brisbane, and then we get to bring to the US, and also we get to give to more couriers, and we get to sign up couriers and turn them into DSOs or turn them into self-standing business people, really, is what you do. And I think that's really cool.
I love the fact that you said that the US was a disaster, but the truth is that, or at least from the story you told, I think what it's delivered is actually an altruistic goal, a goal that's beyond just making money, and I can see the excitement.
Money's so secondary to me.
Yeah.
Now, I suppose it's if you don't need it, then it's a different thing. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
But there's just so many people that need it, and there's I mean, I'll get off topic slightly, but on topic. So I met Donald Trump. It's a long story. It was only recently I got invited to Mar-a-Lago, and there I was. Hello, mate. Shook his hand, all that sort of stuff.
What was that like?
It was like seeing a cartoon. It's so
Is he as
funny.
orange as you expect him to be?
He's a funny dude.
Yeah.
He's so knockabout.
Yeah,
Like he just loves to be loved,
Yeah. Yeah.
And the hair is amazing. He combs it up halfway from his back.
It's got a life of its own.
So and I think about the position. Let's just say he is a billionaire. He's an alleged billionaire. Okay, if I was worth $1 billion, like I've got 1,000 million US dollars in my account, right? And I somehow bullshit my way to
the White House,
the president of the United States, right? And they all bullshit their way to it.
Yeah, of course.
Let's not throw him completely under the bus. And the like. What's the Mount Rushmore?
It's got
the 3 heads on
it. Yeah.
I mean, okay, so why didn't he give him free healthcare? Why didn't he at least bang on about it. And by the way, that sort of leads me to believe that the president of the United States isn't as powerful as the.
That's what people
So
say.
it's exactly. Now, there's probably a bit of that. But if you could, and if you did one of those, I'm the
Executive
president, I've
order.
just got executive order, and he just kept on doing executive orders, I mean, eventually everyone's going to get excited, and then there's going to be some sort of revolution take place.
Yeah.
And if he was backing that, I mean, if I had $1,000 million in the bank, I think, well, I don't want to make another 200 million because I've already got 1,000 million,
Yeah.
right? Because I'd want to be the next guy they're chipping on to Mount Rushmore.
I was wondering where
That'd
that
be
was
the
going.
coolest. It's like, that's me, son.
So he wants to be the first Aussie president of the US. Then
How would you get around
free
that?
healthcare?
So
I don't know.
I got politically engaged when I was, and this is another amazing thing about the US and in general everything. I mean, the never been politically engaged. When I'm over there, you have to be politically engaged.
Yeah.
And I remember when I started to sort of because I needed to get up to scratch with all the shit that people were talking to me about this and left and right and this and Republican and Democrat and it's all a bowl of shit, but just one's a whole bowl of shit and a half a bowl of shit, So, but there was one guy that was a standout for me, and not because I didn't, and this is the thing I don't get. So Bernie Sanders, right? He was the only politician that was saying things that he wanted for the American people. I'm just like thinking, well, he just wants Australia
Yeah, exactly.
for America.
Yeah.
So
But
I started
he
thinking
labeled
about
it. He labeled it incorrectly, and then
you're gone.
You're gone.
Yeah, I know, but it's like, he wants, my son goes to a great public school, and it doesn't cost money. It's paid for by the, and then we get
wants
free.
Medicare.
We all know we've got free healthcare. So here we are. We've got this guy,
Yeah.
this old Jewish guy, 80-year-old Jewish guy, saying, "I want to do this and I want to do that." And I'm thinking, okay, well that makes sense. Of course he's going to get voted in because that makes sense.
Yeah.
But he got stitched up.
Well, no, he used the phrase
By his own people?
democratic socialism, which is just the dumbest marketing thing to do because the right is never going to like that. You put socialism in front in a phrase, and no one's going to vote. But not going to sway anybody.
I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, someone get me in touch with this guy.
Yeah.
I've got to stop. Let's do this differently.
Yeah.
Make America Australia again. I've started thinking of blue and red hats. With the so I just like. It's just bizarre, and people have been taught how to vote against their own best interests, thanks to one of our guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sadly, Rupert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it's just incredible. Like, people have been, and it even happens here.
It does, yeah.
I guess part of the inspiration story of Yellow Express going to be Australia-wide and then becoming, moving to the US is empowering a bunch of couriers. And that's what the Courier Academy is going to do as well, and is going to start out as a podcast. Tell us about how the Courier Academy is going to help couriers.
Look, I don't know where it's going to end up, but it's definitely going to start with the bee that's in my bonnet, and that is the unsung hero, that delivery guy, or mostly delivery guy, that delivers your packages every day, that gets taken for granted, that has to deal with the stresses of time limits, increases in fuel quotas, all that sort of stuff. The real unsung hero is the guy that is the good old courier.
So you're going to sing their story?
100%. So I want it to be a bit of a soapbox for the little guy. And I think some of the more interesting stories and some of the most dedicated and loyal people that I've encountered in my life, and I've dealt with sophisticated people, and I've dealt with the little guy, and I've never been let down by the little guy, and none of us are. I mean, the courier and the people, and it doesn't just extend it to couriers only. Anyone that's behind the wheel, anyone that's involved in the logistics and in that game. The academy is all about is going to be all about giving great advice to people. You think about it, if you're running around delivering parcels, you're not going to get a chance to talk to a sophisticated accountant about a particular thing, advantage we could take off, and the new tax law and all that sort of stuff. Yep. You're never going to get. So I've got those advantages of being able to do that, and I want to make sure I can get it out to a wider audience, and help him make his life a little bit easier and a little bit more profitable and a little bit smarter to do and all that sort of stuff. So it's just all about a podcast where, you know, and as I said, some of the most interesting stories I hear just from normal stories from normal people.
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
really excited to hear some of those stories because, like, if you
100%.
think about it, the courier, like you said before, it's kind of like you see their face for 2 seconds
Yeah.
and then they're off, and
But
no one
they-
actually gets to connect with them.
But they deliver happiness. They deliver endorphin rush. They deliver. I think they're the coolest people, and they're just forgotten.
Yeah.
And they're a commodity. They treat like shit most of the time. They don't make the money they should. And even though, we've created a little interesting thing at Yellow Express, and obviously I want to replicate that, make it bigger. But there's tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands of people right now today, just in this country, that I think could get better training, could get better advice,
Yep.
and could get a pat in the back. And that's what the Courier Academy is all about.
It's awesome.
Really looking forward to seeing the Courier Academy podcast go live and working with you on bringing Yellow Express and the Courier Academy to Australia and then to the US and changing people's lives through delivering happiness and delivering a more equitable distribution of wealth through the couriers, and revolutionizing the courier industry.
We better get back to work.
Yeah.